Greetings, everybody. I want to welcome you here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph, which was a little bit difficult a few minutes ago remembering. And I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're doing a mini-series, which will start this Monday, so this will be the first episode. It's a 5-episode mini-series on the Beatles. And so what I've done here is I've chosen what I consider to be my 5 favorite Beatles albums. I don't have them. I'm not presenting them in any particular order. This isn't my first one, isn't my least, and then that. I just picked the 5 out because I knew these were my 5 favorite. I'm just going to do an episode on each of them. I'm going to talk about a few titles, a few things about each of them that I think are important. So the first one out, and we're going to do this for each episode. I'm going to do the same five questions, and I'll try to talk about those questions, or those what you might want to call triggers, or whatever you want to call it. So the first album we're going to do for the series, and this series is going to be called My 5 Favorite Beatles Albums. Here's a surprise. So the first album out, again, this is the third time I've said that now, this will be the last time I say it, is Sargent Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which was released in 1967. Yeah, that's a long time ago, like 50-some years. What's the significance of this album? Well, I think there's a great significance to this album. I believe this was either the first or second concept album ever produced. I think the other one was a Kinks album. And I'm not sure if it came out just a little bit ahead of this one or just behind it. Obviously, this one has had a tremendous impact on music, I think. One of the most impactful albums ever. It started out, I think, basically as a concept album, and then came a bit of a free-for-all. Like, there's so much stuff going on here. Movie, and then you got all these people, and then they put on these costumes so that they wouldn't be thought of as just the old Beatles. They wanted to be different people. Yeah, just really establishedly well-known album. I think this album is kind of viewed as the beginning of that kind of concept, progressive rock, psychedelic rock type situation going on. Had a little bit of all of these things. I think it had a little bit of an influence on all of these things too. I think the Stones did a similar album as Majesty's Satanic whatever. I don't have that album, so I can't remember the title of it. But anyway, so this album had a tremendous amount of impact, but not all of it was good either. Like you wonder, like, how could an album like this not be completely good? But there were people that said this is when rock changed. It was no longer rock and roll. Now it was becoming something completely different. A lot of people hated it. They think that it brought on that progressive movement, that they absolutely hate it. There's still people out there that hate that movement, think it'll just go away, but it's not going to go away. Obviously, I'm doing a channel on it, but to me, this is, without this album, maybe I'm not having a channel, because maybe progressive rock never would have developed. I doubt it. Somebody would have developed it, but this was the beginning of that. This had more of a psychedelic flavor than most progressive rock albums, but it definitely was the beginning of that. Definitely that concept part 2. Also, the other question I'm asking myself, what's my favorite track? Well, that's difficult, because at times it's been a different song. When I was a kid, my favorite Beatles song was With a Little Help from My Friends. Easily was my favorite. And later, as things went along, I liked Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, which I thought was absolutely, totally different than anything I'd ever heard before. And but eventually it came down to The Day in the Life, which is probably my favorite song on this album. At one time it was probably my favorite Beatles song, period. But that title has been moved around a lot over the years. I wouldn't be surprised if I've had more than 20 songs that have been my favorite by the Beatles at one point or another. but this definitely was one of them, and it's probably my current favorite song on this album. I just think it encapsulates what the Beatles were about at this point in time. You know, it's very kind of English in its storytelling. It gets right into the character that they're playing. Yeah, just a really great song. So what's unusual about this album? Well, what's unusual about it is it's bloody colorful as hell. It's got lots of stuff. The costumes on it are fantastic. The concept, which was something pretty much unheard of at the time. And many people cite this as being one of the most different albums that they've ever heard. The music is very different from a lot of the Beatles stuff that came before, although you were starting to get some of that with Revolver and Rubber Soul as well. But this just took it to another place altogether. So for me, this had to be one of the albums we did in this series. It's just too important of an album, and I like it too much. And so today's album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. So this is the end of episode 1 on my favorite 5 Beatles albums. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, please hit the like and subscribe. It's much appreciated. And you can leave your comments on the album below. If you want to put your 5 favorite albums down there, that'd be great too. Is there something about the album you think is important that people should know about it? You know, because the thing with the Beatles is so much about so much of their stuff that you just can't remember it all. And yeah, so anyways, there you go. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. And we'll be back tomorrow with another episode of My Favorite Beatles Albums, episode number 2. Take care. Bye.